Ladies and gentlemen, special guests, my name is Rob Furlong from the Marksmanship Academy. I just want to send my well wishes to everybody at this year's AGM of the National Firearms Association. Thank you guys for always being there for us firearms owners. It's not always easy being there to fight the good fight, we'll say, but you're much appreciated, and I hope to see you guys at next year's AGM, maybe in person.
Hey there folks, this is Daniel Fritter from Caliber Magazine, and I wanted to take this brief opportunity to say to each and every one of you, thank you. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules to attend an event like this to build an organization like the NFA. It's organizations like the NFA that have and will continue to serve as a foundation for what gun ownership looks like in Canada in the future. And as we know from the most recent election result, that role is likely going to be more important in the months ahead than it has been at any point in recent memory. So thank you. Now for those gun owners who are worried about the most recent election result, I will simply say that we have been down this road before. Canadian gun owners have, for decades, faced hostile governments that make sweeping regulatory changes, and yet we are still here. In fact, more gun owners than ever before are still here. With more PAL issuances in recent years than ever before, it's safe to say that gun ownership is more popular today than it has been in the past. And at times in the past, with a much smaller group of gun ownership, we have still won battles against gun prohibitions and, of course, the long gun registry. So do not despair. We did not get the result we wanted on Monday, but I would simply say that we haven't got the result we wanted yet. So bear down, put in the hard work, keep a stiff upper lip, keep calm and carry on, whatever cliche you want to use. But don't despair. We will still be here another 5 and 10 years as long as people like you continue to do the excellent work that you are, keeping our community organized, educated, and on point. So thank you, and have a great AGM.
Hello, my name is Ian Runkle. Some of you may know me from my YouTube channel, Runkle of the Bailey. I'm a Canadian firearms lawyer, and frankly, we've had a rough few years, and we're looking at a rough few more. This is a very difficult time for Canadian firearms owners. Firearms and their use and ownership and all of that is suffering from great restrictions. It's been getting narrower and narrower. But that doesn't mean it's time to give up the fight. Certainly, no one ever promised me that this would be easy. They promised me a fight, and that's, by definition, the opposite of easy. So I'm not giving up, and because of that, I am filing, or I just actually filed, a leave application to the Supreme Court of Canada seeking to win back some procedural fairness for Canadian gun owners. The issue here is that when they decided to ban a whole bunch of firearms, they thought that the procedural fairness that is normally guaranteed to everybody who's affected by this kind of government action was going to be too expensive and was going to be too difficult and just too much of a hassle. So they decided to skip that step. And I'm fighting to force them to do it right, to give the fairness rights to gun owners that we're owed, because we're Canadians too, and these are owed to all Canadians. So this is going to be a big fight. The Supreme Court, of course, is not an easy process, but I'm in it for the long haul. Where I can, I'm going to push back and I'm going to fight back, and I'll be there as a voice as long as I'm around. So I'm hoping you guys will too. I'm hoping that you're in this struggle as well. Certainly by being where you are in the seats you're sitting in, you're making an important step. But there's going to be a lot of ways to fight and a lot of fights that need to be fought. There's going to be fundraising that needs to be done. There's going to be speaking out. Talk to your MP, even the MPs that disagree with you. Be polite, be respectful, but communicate what it is that we're about. Let them know that we exist and that we're not happy about this. So all of these things are small ways that we can fight, but this is not a fight that's lost until people give up. So long as people continue to fill rooms like the one you're in, there will always be some hope. And quite frankly, I can see it on the horizon that we'll turn this around. That's what I'm fighting for. That's what I'm trying to arrange. And I hope you're right there with me, as I said. So I'll try to keep you guys posted, as I said, on my YouTube channel. I'll have legal discussion here. I'll talk about sort of the fight I'm in, as well as other fights that are going on, but keep at it. I really hope you do, and because I'll be there, I hope I'm not alone. So, thank you.
My name is Travis Bader with Silvercore Outdoors. At the time of recording this is one day after the election. That didn't go the way I thought it would. To help clear my head, I decided to head out to the beach. It was low tide, walked out for about a mile, picked up some Dungeness crab for lunch, and on my walk back, I get a text message from the NFA, and they asked if I could put together a bit of a talk for the AGM. I've had a little bit of time to think about this, and it got me thinking about that conversation that I'm sure we've all had, where someone asks, sometimes with curiosity, sometimes with contempt, why do people even need guns? It's a question built on assumption, and when we take the bait, we're already arguing on their terms. We don't owe a defense, we owe the truth. And sometimes the most powerful things we can do is just not argue, but to ask a better question, to offer a steady voice, not a louder one, to shift the perspective instead of chasing the frame. Because we need to shift the perspective. It's been a heavy few years. More restrictions, more political hostility, another election, and more uncertainty for firearms owners. But we've been here before. And we've made history before. We helped end the long gun registry. We pushed legal challenges into the spotlight. We've built businesses and communities that remain strong, even under constant pressure. And every one of those wins came from people who chose to show up. People who believed their voice, their presence, and their persistence matter. Changes never come from winning. Not for government. Not for gun groups, not even for court rulings. It comes from individuals who decide they won't be boxed in by somebody else's story. We lose ground the moment we let others define the conversation. So instead of reacting, we need to redirect. Because this was never just about safety. It was never about trust. It's about control and the political expedience and convenience of targeting those who are easiest to silence. Gun owners make for an easy scapegoat. We're painted as dangerous, irresponsible, or outdated because it's easier than having an honest conversation about enforcement, crime, or social breakdown. And if we don't speak clearly, others will keep speaking for us. That's where organizations come in. They matter deeply, but giving money to a gun group isn't the end of your duty. It's the beginning of your responsibility. Because no organization can carry this alone. They need more than support. They need a movement of individuals willing to speak, act, and lead. This fight doesn't get won by delegation. It gets won by engagement. We're not waiting for permission. We're not asking for approval. We are standing because it's our right, our responsibility, and our legacy to protect. The future of firearms in Canada won't be decided by politicians behind closed doors. It will be decided by the voices and actions of those who refuse to be silent. Every conversation that you have, every person that you mentor, every time you lead by example, especially when it'd be easier to just stay quiet, you're shaping what comes next. The future doesn't belong to those who sit quietly and hope for better. It belongs to those who stand up, speak clearly, and live boldly. So, don't wait. Don't whisper. Don't hand away the pen that writes your future. Stand tall, be the difference, and never ever forget, we're not done. Not even close.